In the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you about the most invalidating doctor's appointment of my life and how that dismissive 30-second diagnosis nearly cost me my hair forever. But what happened when I finally found real help will probably shock you as much as it shocked him. For months, I kept making excuses for what was happening to my crown. Maybe it was the stress from my job promotion. Maybe it was turning 44 and my hormones changing. I tried everything I could think of, switched to sulfate-free shampoos, took biotin religiously, started doing scalp massages with castor oil every night. But that thinning spot at my crown kept getting worse, and I was running out of explanations. Finally, I made an appointment with a dermatologist, thinking I'd finally get real answers. I was so nervous walking in there, but I thought, this is a medical professional. He'll examine my scalp properly and figure out what's wrong. I showed him my thinning crown, explained how it had been progressively getting worse for 6 months, mentioned the tenderness and slight itching I'd been feeling. He glanced at my head for maybe 15 seconds, barely even parted my hair, and said, "Looks like typical traction alopecia. Very common in black women from tight hairstyles. Here's a prescription for minoxidil." I tried to tell him I hadn't worn tight styles in years, that something felt different about this. He cut me off. "The medication will help if you're consistent. Make sure you're not pulling your hair too tight." That was it. 5 minutes, and I was dismissed with a generic diagnosis and a prescription. I left that office feeling so small and unheard. Here I was, scared about losing my hair, and I felt like he hadn't even really looked at me. Maybe he was right. Maybe this was just my fault from old styling choices catching up with me. I started using the minoxidil religiously, but nothing changed. My crown kept thinning. I became obsessed with checking it in different mirrors, different lighting, started wearing my hair in styles that covered the spot. The shame was quiet but constant, avoiding photos, making excuses not to go out on windy days. I felt broken and invisible. Then one evening, scrolling through Instagram, I came across a video from Dr. Kari Williams, a black trichologist, talking about something called CCCA, Central Centrifugal Cicatricial Alopecia. As she described the symptoms, crown thinning that doesn't respond to typical treatments, scalp tenderness, the way it progresses, I felt chills. She said something that changed everything. CCCA gets misdiagnosed as traction alopecia constantly because doctors see hair loss in black women and assume it's from styling. But CCCA is an inflammatory condition that requires completely different treatment. Most doctors aren't trained to recognize it. For the first time, someone was saying that my symptoms weren't just typical. They were signs of a real medical condition that had been completely missed. Dr. Williams explained that CCCA creates chronic inflammation around the hair follicles. That tender feeling I'd been having, that was inflammation, and you literally cannot regrow hair on an inflamed scalp. The inflammation shuts down follicle function as a protective response. That's why the minoxidil wasn't working. I wasn't dealing with regular hair loss that needed growth stimulation. I was dealing with inflammatory hair loss that needed healing first. She talked about how anti-inflammatory ingredients could actually calm the scalp and allow regrowth to happen. Salicylic acid to gently clear away inflammatory buildup around follicles. Dexpanthenol to reduce the swelling that was choking off hair growth. L-menthol to boost circulation and help flush inflammatory toxins. It made perfect sense. You have to put out the fire before you can plant new seeds. That's when I found Ore Natural's Hair Revival Ampoule. It was specifically formulated with those anti-inflammatory ingredients Dr. Williams had mentioned, designed for inflammatory scalp conditions like CCCA. I started applying it to my crown every night with the metal rollerball applicator. Within the first 2 weeks, the biggest change was how my scalp felt. That constant tenderness and irritation just stopped. My scalp felt calm for the first time in months. By week 6, I could see under my phone flashlight that my scalp looked less red and angry. Then, around week 10, I noticed something that made me cry happy tears. Tiny black dots appearing in the areas that had been smooth. Baby hairs. Real regrowth where nothing had grown for almost a year. If a doctor has dismissed your hair loss concerns, if you've been given a generic diagnosis without proper examination, if you've been made to feel like you're overreacting, I want you to know that your instincts matter. You know your body better than a doctor who spends 30 seconds looking at you. CCCA affects nearly half of Black women, but the medical system consistently fails to recognize it. That's not your fault, and it doesn't mean your concerns aren't valid. You're not broken, you're not imagining things, and you're definitely not alone in feeling unheard. Don't let dismissive diagnoses stop you from getting the help you deserve. Don't accept generic treatments that weren't designed for your specific condition, and don't let anyone make you feel like your hair loss concerns don't matter. Your crown deserves proper attention and targeted treatment. Oré Naturals comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee because every Black woman deserves a solution that actually addresses what's happening to her scalp. Take your scalp seriously. Take your crown back. You deserve care that actually sees you and treatments that actually work. Click below to try Oré Naturals Hair Revival Ampule today.